150 days, 150 Psalms, one verse from one Psalm daily. Now today we're going to look at Psalm chapter 5 and verse 4. Psalm chapter 5 and verse 4. It says like this: For you are not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness, no evil dwells with you. God is not a God who takes pleasure in wickedness. He doesn't like wickedness. He doesn't like unholy things. This verse talks about a holy God. This verse talks about how much God and evil are incompatible. Even Jesus's interrogators, they could not find any fault in him. A man, a God set apart, holy. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 21, it talks of Jesus who had no sin, who never had sin. So another version says who never sinned. I am really shocked when I read this verse. He never sinned. Imagine a man who lived as 100% human on this earth, and the Bible says he never sinned. The Bible is not a book of partiality at all. The Bible calls David as a man after his own heart. But when David sinned, the Bible says, you are that man, you sinned. The Bible says Solomon is the wisest man. When he did foolish things, the Bible says you sinned. The Bible says Samson is the strongest man. But when he was weak in his weakness, with his eyes gouged out, the Bible says you sinned. Yet, when it is so true, when it is so honest, when it talks about Jesus, the Bible makes a bold claim that Jesus never even sinned. How shocking, how surprising, how motivating. Because that same God says, be holy as I am holy. Not according, my holiness is not measured to my neighbor's holiness. My holiness is not measured to my friend's holiness or my pastor's holiness. But God says, as I am holy, as I am holy. Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 13. It says, your eyes are too pure to approve evil. Sorry, it is Habakkuk chapter 1 and verse 13. Let me read that verse to you. Habakkuk chapter 1 and verse 13. Your eyes are too pure to approve evil. And then it says, and you cannot look on wickedness with favor. God cannot give any favor to wickedness. God cannot look at evil at all. His eyes are too pure. Now today, that gives you and me a challenge. He doesn't take pleasure in wickedness. The next verse says in Psalms 5:5, the boastful shall not stand before your eyes. You hate all who do iniquity. In other words, sinners have no place in the standing of God. Sinners have no place in the courtyard of God. Sinners have no place in the room which God is preparing for us in heaven. He said, I am preparing a room for you. When it is done, I will come and take you back. And in that room, the wickedness, people who approve evil, they have no place for it, no place in that. Psalms is not just about an encouragement, but it is also about correction. It is also about correction. Look at Job, the book of Job, chapter 35. Here, Job says some very powerful lines. It says, Job chapter 35 and verse 6, if you have sinned, what do you accomplish against him? In the New Living Translation says, if you sin, how does that affect God? Your sin affects you, man. It doesn't affect God. And then it says, If your transgressions are many, what do you do to him? If you sin again and again, what effect will it have on him? Now, many people think I am going to irritate God by sinning, by doing mistake, but by acting against him. I'll tell you, God doesn't get irritated. If you smoke, it is you who's going to get affected. If you do an evil, wicked thing, it is you and your soul and it is your family who is going to be affected. It is not God. Because He takes no pleasure in wickedness and in evil. Today, I want to tell you one thing. We live in a wicked world, but God doesn't approve. God doesn't give any kind of approval. He doesn't take pleasure in wickedness. That means, though we live in this world, you and I are called to live a holy life. A life that we will live for the pleasure of God. A life that we will live for the glory of God. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Now, God told Peter, on you I will build my church. But when he sinned, the very next verse, Jesus told Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. And this is what God's attitude towards wickedness is. Psalms 5, it is a psalm of David. He takes no pleasure in wickedness. No evil dwells within him. And you and I, it's a challenge, living a holy life, living a God-pleasing life. It is a challenge, but you and I are called to live such a lifestyle so that our life will be a pleasing aroma to God. We will get the approval of God. God will take pleasure in us. May we aspire to live such a life. Stay blessed in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.